Welcome, everybody, to episode 14 of Life of a Single Mom with and Creasha. I want to start out by talking to you guys. First of all, I hope y'all had a great weekend, weekday, all of that good stuff. I want to start by talking about where we left off last week with the three things I did this week to change. The first thing I want to talk about is I am starting this new walking journey. I'm trying to walk like 30 minutes before work and 30 minutes of my hour break at my lunchtime. And that's been making me feel much, much better. I've been looking into better opportunities for work. I'm in the medical field, but I also want to do more. So I've been doing that and also just getting ready for my son graduation because my second son is about to be out of high school. So I've been doing those things. Did you want to talk about some things that you done?
I also got twins graduating in
Woo-woo.
June, so that's coming up. And then yeah, I'm grateful because I didn't think they was gonna make it for a while. But I'm also I said this year I was gonna be more focused on my happiness and the things that I want to do, finding out who I am. So one of those things is starting to go places and travel more. Like I'm working on trying to book something now, and then we got your birthday bash next month, so that's what I'm trying to do with my year. And then same as you, like exercising. I found me a little
Okay.
workout buddy with my
Do
coworkers, so
it.
that's what I'm gonna be doing on my
That's
weekends.
good.
And yeah, so that's just a few things,
Okay,
little
okay.
small changes.
Um,
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about some real deep, situations, not per se our own, but just things that go on in our communities. And if you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual abuse, reach out to the National Abuse Hotline, 1-800-656-4673. If you know somebody, if you heard of somebody, just give them that number, tell them to reach out, you guys. But I'm going to let Brittany take it over because this is her week to shine.
Thank you. Um, so yeah, like my sister said, if you or anybody you know has been a victim of abuse, you got that number. You can call. They have resources, places for you to go, different things like that. So to jump right into one of the topics that I want to talk about is molestation. I feel like in our culture, especially, anytime somebody is a victim of sexual abuse, any form, whether it be touching, kissing, fondling, um, penetration, the impacts are severe. Like some people never come back from that. Too often in our families, I feel like it gets swept under the rug. It's a taboo topic. Nobody wants to talk about it. You may have been abused by an uncle or a cousin, and then your family got you at family reunions and shit, hanging out with your uncle like ain't nothing happened. Like that type of stuff happens all the time in our households and in our community. And I feel like no more sweeping that shit under the rug no more. Like it needs to be addressed. If you wrong somebody, you need to be held accountable for that shit. And just because years have passed, you don't get to tell nobody when they should be over it. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, if you a child and you are a victim of sexual abuse, the impact can go on all the way into adulthood. Children's behaviors change. They may start wetting the bed. They may become physically aggressive. They may be withdrawn. grades may start to slip, um, different things like that. Those are some of the warning signs of a child that's being sexually abused. Some of them find solace in confessing to somebody at school or a daycare or somewhere. You know, they may not feel safe to disclose the information to their parents or their family. So they go outside of the home to find somebody that they can talk to. Um, when you're a victim of sexual abuse, it creates a lot of hostility and anger inside of you. And it's towards everybody, not even specifically the abuser, but you take your anger out on everybody because inside you dealing with so much pain and trauma and you don't know how to deal with it as a child. You still learning to balance your emotions and handle them and be in control of them. Uh I know when a child is a victim of sexual abuse, it's very important that they immediately, for one, get checked out to make sure, there's no severe damage done and things like that, no STDs, no pregnancy. Of course, there needs to be a police report filed, an investigation started. Um, what I want to know is what do people do when it's an immediate family member versus an outside person like a neighbor or somebody from the church or something like that? How do you navigate through that when it's somebody that close to you? Somebody that, you got to see and deal with on a daily basis. How do you guys navigate that? That's my question. I know that therapy is a must for any victim of sexual abuse to be able to confront those traumas, address them, heal them, and get the necessary tools and resources you need to heal and be able to live somewhat of a normal life after an experience like that. Creasha, do you have anything
I
you want to
think you
say
made
about
a
that?
lot of good points. It's kind of hard when you're a kid and you're not in control of things. Like, when you're a young kid, you can't really speak for yourself, but when you become a teenager, you could kind of speak for yourself. So I think when it happens to kids, it's like a scared situation, you know what I'm saying? Because especially if it's somebody that's with you every single day or live in your home or, they real close to your parents or something like that, like you don't really think that you can actually tell them and they believe you because it's a person that they deal with on a daily basis, you know what I'm saying? But kids need to be alarmed. Tell your parents, you know what I'm saying? I mean, granted, some parents might not believe you or take you through the riffraff, to understand the whole situation, because that's a big accusation, and you definitely gotta do research like you said. But I think it's more of the way the parent talks to the kid. Like you got to ask them the necessary questions. And sometimes we be so caught up with other stuff, we don't ask those questions on a daily basis, you know what I'm saying? Or not even a
Yeah.
weekly basis. I mean, I don't think you should do it you might traumatize the kid if you do it every day, but every so often, you
Yeah.
got to actually talk to your kids and ask them about them fondling
Yes.
situations and how did the person rub you, because people do shit to kids and make them think that it's totally normal. And if they don't know that it's not okay
It's
because you ain't
okay.
having them
Yeah.
conversations, then they just letting that shit happen because they think it's a normal ass life. Um, you just got to be aware more.
Mhm.
Parents, you got to talk to your kids a lot and pay attention, like you said, to the movements that they do and the changes that they make. And don't always think they just on some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, look into those details. Because
Yeah.
if you know your kid been acting a certain way all this time and all of a sudden something changed, you need to really understand why it changed. And sometimes the shit be right in our face and we don't even know it because we so consumed with other stuff.
We don't
And
even
it's
know.
hard. But we living in
Mhm.
a time where more
Yeah.
people are outspoken about things that they got going on versus when our parents was raised, how they parents didn't talk to them about certain stuff. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't even talking about STDs and, health issues, less alone somebody molesting you. So it's just the times we living in now, you got the platforms to actually do the work in the open and not behind closed doors and we gonna keep all this a secret. Hell no. If my brother did something or I did something, I would want that shit to be on Front Street to be talked about. Cause you got to.
And then, um, when it's a close family member, I think that that creates even a harder situation because you got to constantly see that person. They around, so that makes it harder for somebody to confess. That make it harder for you to heal from the situation. All that, you know what I mean? So that's just something that I really wanted to talk to you guys about because it happens too often and too many times. Like it's just let go. And I think too, we don't talk about the trauma that happens to the parents of victims of sexual
Mm-hmm.
abuse and how that impacts them in their life, their mental state and things like that because that's your child, and then the other person maybe, or it's a neighbor
Mm-hmm.
or a friend, you know what I'm saying, all that is makes you start to question, like, well, why didn't I see this? Is it my fault? Did I bring this person around? Am I the cause of this? Different things like that. And so I just want to make that known. Like the parents go through a lot of shit because of that too. So the whole family needs to heal, and that's why I said that therapy is a must. I'm glad that Creasha mentioned the STDs because that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and the stigmas that are associated with like HIV and AIDS, herpes, gonorrhea, chlamydia, things like that. Often I feel like when you hear, oh, this person has HIV or AIDS, you feel like, damn, like what they do, they nasty. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what was they doing? Mm-hmm. And too many times that is so wrong. Like, it, it's innocent people who just be in love with a person and just be an innocent bystander. They just get, you know what I'm saying? So it's different things like that. And on top of that, just because you have HIV or AIDS, you can still live a long life. I need for people to stop assuming that you just gonna die or you gonna drop dead out of the
Mm-hmm.
blue. Like that doesn't happen. And now with the advancements in medication and stuff, you can live with HIV a whole fruitful long life. You can live undetectable long as you taking your meds and going to your doctor's appointments. And I was talking with someone the other day and they were telling me too, like that even somebody with AIDS, like you can live like a long time, long as you on your meds and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, you can maintain. So it doesn't necessarily mean a death sentence just to be diagnosed with that. So I don't want, maybe this, is going to help somebody that's recently diagnosed or that's, sitting at home wondering what the hell they going to do because they just got this news. Your life is not over. Don't think that immediately gives you a death sentence. Um, there's support groups, there's counseling services, different things like that that you can do to help yourself get through this and live a long, healthy life. And I also want to talk about dating while you have these diagnoses and having to disclose to people, your status, because I can't even imagine someone having to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that would put me in a position to where I wouldn't even, I'd just be single for the rest of my life type shit. Like, because to have that, and then how do you date? How do you navigate that? You meet a guy, you go out, you chill it. And then when it comes time to go to the next step, you got to say, well, hey, that is like, just just imagining having to do that. It makes you fearful of dating. I looked some stuff up, just because I knew this was some stuff we were going to talk about. That I think in California, you don't have to disclose to somebody if you're undetectable and you're on your
What?
meds and stuff like that. I think the only way, yeah, I was looking it up. Like, you don't have to disclose if you're undetectable because you can't transmit it. And let me make sure I make this clear with you guys. So for people that, because Creasha just said, huh? Now hold on. So when you're undetectable, so you can have sex without condoms and all that, you're not able to transmit it because the viral load is so low that it's undetectable. Um, Now that's what they say. This is all the information that I've gotten, but that's what they say. You can go on and have a regular life, and it's undetectable and stuff like that. So I guess that's why they said that you don't have to disclose. Now, just dealing with my own internal and ethical issues, if that was me, I would definitely disclose because I would feel like I'm lying, for one, deceiving somebody, and I would never want nobody to feel like I'm intentionally trying to deceive them or harm them. You know what I mean? Now, with that being said, I don't want you, if you do have a diagnosis, I don't want you to feel like you can't date. There's dating sites for people, because I looked that up too. There's dating sites for people that, have these sort of diseases, and you can date and you can, meet your special someone. So I don't want you to think that life is over. You're not going to have a date in life and things like that. And even if you go on to have children, um, you don't necessarily transmit it to the child either. If they catch it early enough, you'll take meds and that'll prevent you from transmitting. And then I think they also perform a C-section instead
Mm-hmm.
of vaginal because it lessens the chances. So those are just some things to know. If you have a new diagnosis about HIV or AIDS, that's just some information I wanted to share with you guys, because sometimes, children are born with HIV and they had nothing to do with it. Their parents transmitted it to them via drugs or sexual activities, however that was. But and they grow up their whole life with HIV, having to disclose it to everybody. So I just want you guys to know, like, you hear somebody with HIV, boom,
They be
it
like, I'm
don't
out of there.
necessarily mean that if they touch you, yeah, if they
Right.
touch you, you gonna get it. It don't work like that. It does not. You would have to cut your fingers, rub y'all blood together like this, and make sure it goes into the body and enters the system. It
Yeah.
does not work like that. Um, so don't like, and don't treat people bad because of that. Don't, they already feel bad dealing with their own internal issues, trying to process this shit. Don't make people feel worse by not wanting to be around them or treating them different, because if somebody close to you, or anybody have a heart, be human, and support them. See if there's anything you can do to help them be a better person. And I checked some statistics on HIV, and it says, for because I was really worried about our community, specifically Black people, and it says that 1 in 22 Black men become infected, compared to 1 in 68 for all men. That's like all races. And then this is a lifetime risk statistic, and 1 in 54 for Black women compared to 1 in 250 for all women. So it's basically telling y'all that the statistics for African Americans is much higher than all other races of contracting HIV and AIDS. And I also wanted to talk to you guys about herpes too, but because Creasha's in the medical field, I felt like she might have a little more
Yeah.
insight on this. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and let her share some
Um,
stuff about herpes with you
so
guys.
herpes is considered HSV. which it can be cold sores, them little bumps on your mouth that look like ulcer blisters, or you can have them in your genital area. Some people get them, in their anal area. Some people get them on their face. You can get them different places. That's a really important STD to know about and to do your research on, especially to the young folks that's just becoming sexually active, because what I see is a lot of people find out they have herpes based off of being pregnant. Like, we take tests for them when they're pregnant and they find out that they have either one or two or both. That's not typically STD. Like, when you go to your OB doctor and you say, "Oh, I want a STD screen," they usually just do chlamydia and gonorrhea. So they don't talk about herpes, syphilis, HIV, all of that stuff. It's tons of strands of HPV, and if you ain't up on that, you might have one and don't even know. But herpes is pretty much silent because no one get tested for it unless they have warts or they have blisters. I mean, not warts, but little blisters. You know what I'm saying? So you can be walking around here for 10 years with herpes and not even know it because you never had an outbreak. So it's very important that you guys do the blood work, STD screens, which is going to cover all the big stuff. I'm just now finding out, I don't know if you heard, they have something called second gonorrhea. It's like, what? It's crazy. But
What?
eighth her
I think that that's important that you mention that, you guys. Early detection
yes,
is
it is.
very important. Make sure, like Creature said, get those blood work done. When you go to the doctor, don't just get the regular pap smear. Tell them you want
Exactly.
your blood work drawn too, because the earlier you
Yeah.
catch it, the
And
more you
even
have a
if even
fighting
if you
chance.
don't think that you've
I'm
been
sorry.
exposed or you ain't even out there like that, sleeping around and stuff, you got to definitely just check, because when you do meet another person, you want to have your stuff together so you clear. So if anything come up, any problems, where it came from. And you need to be, don't hesitate to ask people for their STD screen paperwork. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us act nervous, like, oh, I don't want to ask this person that. No, you should not. You should be nervous not asking them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so many people,
Yep.
especially where I live in Nevada. It's a lot of people I see that have that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, they had no idea, old, young, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just a epidemic. Like, and I asked because we get, like, the stuff that you just read. We get those every month on how much gonorrhea has been exposed, how many chlamydias we've had, and we get those things nationwide because I work for a doctor, so we see all the history. It's crazy how much people in Nevada has different diseases and nobody talks about that when they meet somebody. How many times do you walk around and somebody tell you they've been burned or they had, like, you got to go deep and know a person personally for them to even expose that, and even then some people don't tell you nothing. So it's just being aware, and then when you are having sex with people, pay attention, look at stuff. Don't just go in and have sex with a person because y'all pulling y'all clothes down. No.
First of all, we got to stop just laying down with any and everybody. That's just got to stop. Like you said, start paying attention. I wanted to mention that because you was talking about all the statistics that you guys get. In 2022, Black Americans accounted for 38% of new HIV
Wow.
diagnosed. So that's almost half, you guys. That's like 12% less than half of, and that's our people. So that's why I wanted to really talk about this, because, and I think like it used to be, older people, prostitutes, drug addicts that were getting the diseases, but now it's the younger generations because we all out here, doing what we do. And that's why it's important to be careful. Also, because our community is, usually low poverty and stuff like that, that's a lot of contributing
Everybody got too
factors
much
to
time on their hands to have
um
sex all day.
it's, poverty, lack of access to health care. That'll lead into higher rates of sexually transmitted diseases, like you said, because they
But
got too much time on their hand,
also,
stuff like
even
that.
the people that I see with insurance don't come. Like, I mean, it's crazy how you have insurance and you have the time because you ain't working or you got some time to go to the doctor. I mean, now we in 2025. I work Monday through Friday. Doctor's offices is open on Saturday now, so you have no excuse to
Oh, they
get in
are.
there and get it done.
I People be scared because
Yeah, you're
even
right. People
talking
be
to my
scared.
auntie, she don't like to go. She don't like to go to the
Yeah.
hospital because she be scared. Like nowadays, you be more scared to go get help at the hospital because you be like, shit, I might not come back. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then people don't like to get tested for sexually transmitted diseases and HIV and stuff like that because they be scared. Like it's while you waiting for your results, it's a whole bunch of shit going in your head. Like, damn, God, please get me through this. If I, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I
please,
mean,
you worry shit
sometimes you
like that.
can't, like, you can be the best person in the world, the most faithful to your person, and they burn you. You know what I'm saying? Just because they fucked up. But the
That's what
thing
I'm
about
saying.
it
Yeah,
is, if that ain't happening to you and you are the person that's being out there careless and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? You gotta protect yourself, like, because you gonna mess around and catch something that you can't get rid of, and it's not gonna be on nobody but your poor decisions. And it's so messed up for the ones that are in faithful relationships and get done like that. You know what I'm saying? Because here it is, they doing everything they could do to keep a relationship going and be the faithful woman or man, and the person you thought you was marrying just dog you out. You know what I'm saying? Because they careless. Man, you got to do those tests. That's the biggest thing. Doing those tests and just knowing where you stand. It's so important. It's so important.
yeah, definitely. Well, I wanted to talk to you guys about just being more woke for our community. Being more unapolo- unapologetically black, like not being afraid to say that and stand on that, because too often people associate racism with you being pro-black, and it has nothing to do with that because when every other race does that, it's okay, but when we do it, we racist. um every culture takes care of their people. Indians take care of their people, Jews take care of their people, uh Caucasians take care of their people, you know what I'm saying? Mexicans take care of
I
their
think
people.
it's
That's just
because
how
they
it goes.
know
So
if we
why
get
when we do
involved
that?
like that, we gonna change the game. That's why.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like we gotta stop doing that because I'm that's my new thing. Like I'm gonna be so uh, unapologetically black that you it's gonna be some people that's gonna be like, I'm done with her, and it's cool because you ain't supposed to be around me then. If me being full on black is too black for you, then stay away from me. That's how I feel. I was talking to my stylist about you know still being cool with other races. You can still be cool with other races just because you pro black. It don't necessarily mean that you don't like those other races. Like Dr. Umar says all the time. He takes pictures with, different people and all that. But at the core meat and potatoes, I'm for my people and I'm gonna do anything that's gonna benefit my people and push us along. You know what I'm saying? Um, with that being said, I was talking to my stylist about supporting black businesses because I haven't had a lot of success with supporting black businesses. And I'm gonna say this and I need my people to hear me. Because my stylist was like, well, you can't give up on our people. You still gotta try, just find different vendors. So that's what I'm gonna say. Black people, I need y'all to start taking more accountability when you screw up on an order with your people. It's
Positive
anybody.
attitudes too.
But when positive attitudes too. You can't when somebody tell you that you messed up, don't give them no attitude. They are patronizing your business. So That should be your number one concern. And on top of that, word of mouth. Because if you treat me right and I like the service I got, then I'm gonna tell somebody that's gonna tell somebody else, and we gonna get you blown up that way. But if I'm having bad experiences with you, that's what I'm gonna be telling people. And I remember I was watching Dr. Umar's video, and he was saying that, excuse me, he was saying that he had been trying to use black vendors to help him finish the school that he building, and he was getting bad service, and they was taking too long. He's finally got a white man to do it, and I think he said he had it done in about a month. And that's how it be. Like, that's what I mean when I say black businesses, y'all got to do better, because we don't want to take the money elsewhere. We want to keep it in our community. We want to fund our communities. I'm not just gonna take no any and everything just because I'm pro black. I'm pro black, but I'm not stupid either. So know that. And that's what I wanted to say about that, because I think that that happens too often. I don't know. Have you ever had uh any like situations where you bought from black vendors
Um,
and
I
you had
mean,
like a
I know when we went to Atlanta, we had the worst situation going on, like when we, and I
oh
mean,
my
it was
god,
mostly black people that we encountered out there, you know what I'm saying?
all
And it's
black
like the
people.
rudeness, like I was so disappointed when I went out there, as far as just like all the food places and the attitudes and just
The
the
rudeness, the
presenting yourself, you know what I'm
ghetto.
saying? And just the way they talk and act when you ask them for stuff. um I remember, huh?
And we went to upscale
Yeah,
and
even the
low
Rally's
budget
Burgers
places. Like
was
we went
tripping.
to,
Like they remember she had a whole CD
yeah,
player in her back pocket and slippers on and just terrible. Fries everywhere on the floor.
we went to Frost Bistro,
Mm-hmm.
which is
That
Queen
I almost
Rashida's
slapped
place
that
from
damn girl.
Love and Hip Hop. We was about to beat this girl up. Our waitress, she was so full out,
And
blatantly
it was
rude,
only because we
attitude,
couldn't
left us
access the
waiting.
menus that was the barcode on the table. Like three phones didn't work. And we just asked
Yeah,
her, what, just to give us the menus. And she was mad because she had to walk all the way to the front to get the menu. And we like, well, if you tell us where they at, we go get them ourselves. You don't
yes.
got to be that mad. Crazy. Yeah, she was
She was
terribly
just
rude.
rude. Like, and that's what I'm saying. We went to
Yeah.
Candy's restaurant too, the
Yeah, that
OLG.
was
That we
good
had good
service.
service there. But let me tell y'all something about the gratuity in Atlanta. Any restaurant you go to, it's an automatic. I think it was
Uh huh.
30% gratuity that you pay on top of whatever tip you going, because that's not the tip. It tells you that that's just a gratuity
Yep.
in case your ass don't tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's coming on
Yep.
top of the bill automatically. So, um, yeah, I just, like Creasha said, Atlanta is full of black people, and we didn't have too good of. I think the best part of our experience, in my opinion, was probably the
Yeah,
MLK
that was a
museum that we
nice
went to.
little stop right there. I felt really really good and amazed at all the stuff we got to see, and just being on that street period, that
Yeah,
was a good experience for sure.
yes, it was an amazing experience, and we even talked about taking our kids
Yeah.
back, when we can afford it. But because that's something I think if you ever come to Atlanta, please, please go see that. They have a store where you can shop
Yes, you
and
guys
get all
need to
kind of
get that
souvenirs
stuff.
and stuff. It's a historical street, and then we also tried to stop by Tyler Perry Studios, but security
We could not
kept
get
it.
in, but we saw the oval on the
We couldn't get
thing.
in touch. Yeah, we saw they have like this screen, so we saw like they showcase like the shows, and we drove around like the back streets trying to get, because the
Remember, you
his
was like, just
property is
go
so
past, just go
huge, and
past.
it's so like, yeah, like you had to really like, you could can't really see stuff still, but you can see like little bits and pieces of the land and the sets on
Yeah,
there, but yeah, you can't see nothing. Tyler got it
lockdown.
locked down over there. But another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was um the diagnosis of ADHD. Now, I want to talk to you guys about this because me and Creasha went to see Dr. Umar when he came to Vegas in November. Um, and he was talking about this because he does consultations for your kids that are dealing with these diagnoses so that they don't get sucked into the system by the school for this diagnosis. And I want to talk about this because I had this problem with my twins. Um, and he made a good point. I don't know if you remember Creasha when he was
Ain't got
saying
no
that
daddy at home.
the
The
single mothers.
acronym.
Yes, that's what they were saying. Yeah, that's a ain't got no daddy at home diagnosis. That's all that is. They got too much energy, and he said that us parents got to take accountability for doing this shit too. And I'm the first one to admit it because when you a single mother trying to make ends meet, you working all the time, you don't got time to be taking off work every time they
Mm-hmm.
call because your son is not sitting down or being too hyper. You be so stressed out trying to find a solution to not have to keep going from work and getting these phone calls that they come up with this ADHD diagnosis, and then they want to start the IEPs so that your child is in special education, all because
Mm-hmm.
he a little more hyper. Some kids learn like that. Some kids are physical learners, hands-on learners. They don't learn from books and stuff like that. And I think it has to do with, trying to fix the issue right away so, it don't put a dent in the stability of the
Mm-hmm.
family and, how y'all living day to day. But that's one of my biggest regrets is having my kids with a IEP all these years because although it helped them in a lot of areas, it made life, a little easier for them. Having that label on them is number one for me that I didn't want just yet. If I could do it all over, I would have waited later and then had some additional testing done. But being that young and just trying to be able to go to work and make ends meet for my family, I didn't have too many options. And um, I know when you young, especially in our culture, we don't really understand the full impact of what the IEPs are for. It's important that if that's something that you have to get a IEP or a 504 plan, make sure that you've got multiple um doctors to
Mm-hmm.
check out your children and make sure that you doing the right thing because don't let one person dictate to you or a couple teachers tell you your child got ADHD and then you just run with it. I think that's very important for our community, especially. I know Dr. Umar does consultations. He's a clinical psychologist. He's always doing them for the low low. He's
Mm-hmm.
always doing them all the time. So if your school is trying to put you in that box and say, put your child in special education to make it easier, no. What they trying to say is it'll
Yeah.
make it easier for them, not for you.
Yep.
They don't give a fuck about our kids. They don't care about none of that shit. And another thing I want to talk about is because I have two grown kids and my twins are going to be 18 in a couple months. I didn't, and now I have a 5-year old. I didn't realize how disproportionately our schools were put together and how it lacked our people in them. And now that I'm able to, be there at my son's school and stuff like that, I see it's not too many black kids. And it's like they'll put one or two in each class and that's it. It'll be full of Mexicans, full of white kids, but one or two black kids and that's it. Why? I think we all know why. But that's what's going on. And I asked my older kids, like, dang, I didn't know that this is how it was. Was it like this for y'all when y'all was in school? They said yes. And that's just shit that we don't pay attention to when our kids are growing up. Like we so we so outnumbered and the odds are so stacked against us that
Yeah.
got to take our education very serious. You have to because they already uh not allowing us to reach our full potentials. There's so many um blocks and obstacles that we got to fight on our own. So you have to take your children's education seriously and don't let people try to force you into something that you don't fully understand or
Hmm.
that you're not sure
Yeah, I
about.
think those are all great points because, but I mean, we're just coming in a time where the teachers are not going to teach your kids everything they need to know for life. You know, they teaching them basic skills. That ain't stuff that they gonna use every day and need. You know, because half of the stuff we learned in school, we don't use it every day. You know, um, I know my
Absolutely.
kids started school kindergarten during COVID. You know, they was the first year of school back and it was basically the end of kindergarten. So they really didn't know a whole lot, you know, and if I wouldn't have did my part as a mom to help them grow and my older sons help them grow, they wouldn't have knew half of the shit that they know now because them teachers don't have they have so much time dealing with kids that have behavior problems, and I'm not talking about like mental disabilities. I'm talking about just kids that parents ain't taught them how to respect the teacher and sit there and listen and learn and be respectful of other kids that want to learn. They don't know how to do that. So all day the teacher is like, sit down, don't do this, you leave her alone, leave him alone. They can't teach that class, you know what I'm saying? So that too is on the parents. You got to teach your kids how to make it easier for the parents to be, I mean, for the teachers to be able to teach your kids. If they don't know how to behave and act right, then they're not going to do it. But I do also know that you have to be a parent that's involved and communicating with the teacher on what the kid needs, you know, because these teachers will wait to the very last minute and tell you, oh, your kid is failing and
Yep.
I don't know what we're going to do. So you
Yeah.
mean he been
This
failing for six
why you
months and
ain't
you
called me
just
in
now
10
telling
months?
me 2 months before school is
Yes.
over? What the hell? And then what they gonna tell
Yes.
you? This is how they
Mhm.
cover their ass. They make a online thing to where the parents can communicate with the teachers whenever they want to. That's to cover their ass. Because if you don't do the reaching out to the teacher, now it looks like you're the unfit parent and not handling business when really you got my
Yeah.
kid all day and you see how he learning, you see what he reading. Interact with me and tell me that he needs help so I can do this at home, you know? So
Yeah.
I try to communicate.
And we know that they busy. Yeah, like we know that it's a lot dealing with a lot of 25, 30 kids, but at the same time, if you seeing this kid every day, like you said, reach out and let us know. We only need one
Exactly.
phone call to
Yeah.
make a difference. You know what I'm
My
saying?
my son in his what was it? Third second grade. One of my twins had a real bad, like he just had this emotional problem and it was the whole third grade. I got so tired of his teacher calling me every single day about his behavior. I just went off on her because I'm like, my kid is not that bad. Like you calling me like he really jumping around in your class, throwing shit at you and all of this. Like he's having an emotional breakdown. Obviously, it's a reason why, you know. So I just kept working with him, and finally he grew out of it. But she was just trying to push him off to the autism, you know, part of the situation. Like, you know,
Hmm.
maybe I see a little autism. Like, you're not a doctor. You can't diagnose my son with that. Like, who do you think you are?
That's what I
You
was
only
just
had him
saying.
for
Yeah.
second grade. You didn't have him for first grade, for kindergarten, for preschool, or any of that. So how do you know in 6 months he got autism? Like, no. Obviously he going through something and we need to talk
Yeah,
about it,
that's what I
but
was
don't
saying.
just try to push that off because what they want to do is give your kids medication and have them sitting in class like this, and
Yeah.
they still not
Yeah.
fucking learning
Yep.
anything.
So they don't have to be bothered.
Now they high in class and
That's
not
why I
learning.
said that it's that's why I said that it's so important to make sure that you get multiple doctors to check it out. Don't be so fast to
Exactly.
accept the diagnosis. I forgot that you dealt with that
Hmm.
too. I remember that. And yeah, to that's how it was for me. And I think like I
Yeah, you
said, you be
do.
so stressed out from getting those phone calls that you just jump into,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
what can we do?
And it's
Like
crazy
let's
because
do
they
this
don't
right
know
now.
your kid. They only know what they see those hours at school.
Yeah, they
You know,
don't know.
like you only know my kid for like a whole school year. Like you don't know them personally, you know what I'm saying? And every kid is different, you know? And nowadays I know that a lot of kids deal with bullying, you know, and dealing with people doing stuff to them at school, malicious ass kids. And
Yeah.
I ain't with that. Like, I don't like kids that bully. I don't like, these kids need to go to school and be kids and learn and talk about, stuff that elementary kids need to be talking about. These kids are way too grown these days. Like, they be worried, and that's because parents be having them worry about shit that they don't even need to be worried about. Like, it's too many young kids acting like adults already. You know what I'm saying? And you don't need to put them in those type of
Yeah,
situations. Like, let your kid be a kid.
yeah, definitely. Um, Also, like you said, the kids are they
Hmm.
focus is not on the right things. Like they worried about fighting and being cool and clothes and shit like that. So last topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you've been watching our episodes, I'm going through a little phase where I'm trying to grow closer to God and trying to have faith and stuff like that. So, um, I wanted to just get on here and discuss because I want to be transparent with you guys. But these are some of the conversations that I have with Creasha or maybe with my auntie where I'm always questioning. You know, look, she already laughing like
I'm
I'm
ready to
always questioning.
respond.
I'll ask them like I know I always ask you guys like if there is a God, like why does God let stuff happen to good people? Like you could be the most loyal, obedient Christian your whole life and you could die
You
of
know what comes to
excruciating
me?
cancer. You know what I'm saying?
What comes to me with
What
that
comes to you?
is, um when I think of those things, because I have my manager at work asks
Mhm.
me the same thing, and to me, I feel like you basically go through stuff to teach other people things. It's kind of like how God sacrificed his son to give us life and to give us, what we have right now. Because if he didn't sacrifice his son, we wouldn't even be. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big step that he had to take in order for us to be here. So sometimes we have to sacrifice. Listen,
Go
kind of
ahead.
like when somebody leave this earth, somebody's born into this earth. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like history repeating itself. Like, to me, that's me.
No, I get that. I understand your logic on what you're saying, but what I'm saying is the Bible tells us to follow his rules, his commandments, and live our life that way. Now, think about this. To follow him and obey him and you rewarded with that. Whether the person that's gonna be left behind, is able to
I
use
feel
that and
like
help
all of us
somebody,
is not gonna
that
get out of here
person.
with a peaceful. I don't care how close you are to God. I don't feel like none of us is gonna get out of here without a struggle.
But that doesn't
But the
matter. That's
outcome
still
of
not
that though is
answering
to
that
be in
question
heaven with
though.
him.
It's
You know what I'm saying? He didn't tell you to live your life like that to have a good
that
life or
too.
to, you know what I'm
How do
saying?
you know there is a heaven?
Look at
How
what
do you
Jesus
know
went
there
through
is a
before
heaven?
he was put on the cross, and then he had everlasting life. But he had to go through hell and hot water.
But how do you know that there is a heaven? You're not answering that.
Of
Have you
course I
seen a
haven't.
heaven?
And
Have
none
you
of
seen
us
hell?
have and none of us will until we go.
So
So
we
that's
don't
just where
even
your
know
faith
that
come
there
in
is
at.
a
If you don't
heaven.
have faith in that, then you don't have faith in that.
Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what everybody says to me all the time. I get this
But I
same
don't know
answer.
what you
Like,
feel
that's where
when you
your
pray,
faith
but when
come
I
in.
pray, I feel like a spiritual connection with God. Like, I feel it.
And that's what my hairstylist said too. Like everybody that I talk to, whether it be you, my hairstylist, my boss, my auntie, everybody has had that uh connection with God or
You know
with
what? I'm gonna
Jesus,
say to you,
whoever,
if you haven't
they
had that,
believe
it's
in.
because you've been having too much noise around you. Because sometimes God gotta put you in a place of being in a quiet zone for a while so that you can connect with Him. And the reason you probably haven't felt it is because you never actually put your whole interest in it and waited for him to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? You be like, well, I prayed to God and he ain't working. He ain't did nothing yet. Like, I ain't heard nothing yet. You know what I'm saying? But you not listening. It's gonna happen when he want it to happen. Like, if he give you what you supposed to have too soon, you not gonna be ready for it. You know what I'm saying? He not gonna give you what you asking for right now because you don't even trust him. You don't even believe in him that he's for real. So why am I gonna expose myself to somebody that don't even believe me anyway? You gotta come humbly and you gotta express yourself wholeheartedly, like, God, please.
That's not true either, because God, there's people out here that's terrible
Yeah,
people
but
that's
that's
living their
but the
best life
devil
that's
bless
rich and
people with
successful.
with stuff too.
So I know that too. I know that too. So that's what I'm saying. When you get a blessing, how are you
Because
sure
you gotta
that it's
have
from
a
God?
spiritual
How do you
walk
know?
with him. And if you're not spiritually in it
Exactly.
with him, then you really don't know. I used to tell my older sister, like, I don't even know, like, I ask God for things and I don't really even know when he's speaking back to me. You know what I'm saying? Like right now I'm going through that. I want to leave my job, but I'm like, I don't want to move too soon. I want to move on his time, but I ain't heard the answer yet, so I'm still like, what do I do? So I've been asking for that.
I guess that just go back to your faith, like you said. Maybe that's why you still
Yeah.
there, because you got faith, and that's probably why. See, because I don't have that faith, and the fact that God has never presented Himself to me or come through for me when I've asked, I don't depend on that. I
Yeah.
don't even consider
Well,
that. You know
maybe
what I'm
you
saying? I'm
should.
just
Well, maybe you should
that's
and
not
wait for the
how.
answer.
Who has time to wait
You
though?
know
Shit is
what?
happening
You,
now. Who has time
my
to wait?
little sister, get on.
Who has time to wait? But
Good
this is
points, though.
this
Good
is
points,
how, like,
though.
but this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to not have these discussions because it make Christians
Yeah.
uncomfortable. I don't want to not do that, and I don't want to sit in church and be fake with y'all and tell y'all,
You're
because
not
this is
supposed to.
always gonna be my
You're not
questions.
supposed to.
And then on top of that, the Bible, that's another thing. How do y'all know that this is Jesus's words? These Bibles are transcribed and transcripted. Somebody say they found these teachings and words from Jesus Christ. Now, this supposed to be the Bible. How do we know that? We don't know that unless Jesus
I guess
himself
it's
come
just
to
one
you
of
and say,
those
hey, I
things
wrote
that you
this.
just trust
This is,
what you trust and believe what you believe in, and whoever's gonna be sorry, they gonna be
yeah,
sorry. Cause you're right, we don't know. We don't know what's
whoever's
the
going to be
truth,
sorry.
but I'm praying based off of the spirit that I feel.
Yeah. And see, that's what my stylist said. She said, because I asked her the same thing. I said, how do you know? And she said she knows because, like you said, you felt them and you noticed the little blessings. Like she said, she notices the blessings from God. And you've said that too. Like, I haven't had that profound experience. I don't know God to that level. I don't have the faith in God that you guys have. So it's
Yeah.
different.
But everybody's timing in their own time though, because when I was younger, Timo had her transition and being close to the Lord, and I remember her trying to like save me at that same time, like, come on, go to church with me, come on, let's pray, come on, do this, and I had to tell her, like, God's saving you right now. When He come back to save me, you gonna know that, and you've seen the change in me. You know what I'm saying? You've seen the change in me because you was with me when I was dirty, dirty. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big change, and everybody changes in their own time. So like when it's time for you to know that, he's gonna reveal that to you. Maybe you're not at the step he wants you to be at. Maybe you need to be by yourself.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, every day it's a struggle for me to try to have some faith. It's even a struggle for me to pray and be grateful for the small things that I have, because I tell you all the time, like, I'm right now I'm going through a whole negative Nancy phase where I'm
Yeah.
just negative about everything. I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm
Well,
always like,
thank God for
because
those
I
positive
feel
people in
like,
your life
and that's,
because you definitely need some positivity. Somebody to feed against that spirit right there. Just what you said.
but it's not even that. It's just because, like I told you, I've had so much shit happen to me, in these last 5 years that, for other people to even know the shit that I've went through, they'd be like,
Yeah.
damn, bitch, how you
And that
still
right
here?
there is
And
enough
that's
for
what
you
I'm
to know
saying.
that
Like,
there is a God because anybody else we know would have fainted.
But I said that in our podcast. I've said that, like, I recognize that God is probably the only reason I'm still standing, because I call you and I be ready to end it all. Like, and that's how it's been for me. And I'm trying, even on those days where I'm feeling negative, I'm trying to pray and be thankful. Like, let me give God this little bit of time and be grateful and show my appreciation. But at the same time, I still got those questions running in the back of my head. Like, am I really talking to somebody? Is he really listening? Shit like that, that I feel like, we don't really discuss, and, things like that. So, um, I'm gonna go to church tomorrow again. It's gonna be my second time this month. Woo woo. So, I haven't been to church in years. So, this is a big step for me. So that's why I'm like, whoop whoop. I know people are
That's
like,
what's
damn,
up.
twice. Like, but yeah, for me, it's a big step. And that leads me actually into our scripture. I found a scripture that I wanted to share with you guys, and it's from Psalms chapter 118 verse 24. And I think this speaks to what we was just saying. This is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And I wanted to leave us with that, because it's like you said, I know that God is the reason why I'm standing here. And I'm glad to be alive. Even though I don't got the shit I want, or I'm not in a position, I'm glad to still have life, because, there's a possibility that I don't wake up, so I'm grateful for that. And I want to be glad that I'm able to breathe another day. I'm able to record this podcast with my sister today. So I want you guys to take that with you, just remember to be grateful and be glad that you still breathing. Breathe that air. Can you taste the air? I want y'all to taste it and be glad that you're able to taste that air. Is there
I
anything
wanted
you
to
wanted
go
to
out with a
leave,
message.
Creasha?
It's from Psalms 71 verse 9. Yep. It's
Psalms
called
70.
Strength in an Old Age. I want you young people to listen to me when I say this. Our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our older folks are passing away. They have a lot of knowledge that we need to pass down to our kids. They have a lot of structure within the family that we need to pass down to our kids. You guys need to stop walking over them and understand to appreciate if you have grandmothers, if you have grandparents, period. Too many of us are going without checking on them, going without visiting them, going without talking to them and understanding their positions and why they even blessed to still be here for everybody. Um, I can say both of my grandparents are gone. I never met my grandfathers on either side, but I knew both of my grandmothers very well. They was both very dear to my heart. In fact, I was born on my mom's birthday, but I miss the talks that I used to have with them and getting all the knowledge that they had. So I just want you guys to understand you have to appreciate them, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't even be here, first of all. And second of all, think about them. Because when we was kids, they damn sure thought about us. You know what I'm saying? Don't get older and start living your lives and forgetting about the people that really stood out when you was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Some of us probably didn't have that, but if you had that, appreciate anybody that was in your family. Anybody that's older that just took over and helped you, or anything in your childhood, whether it's an auntie, uncle, friend of the family, teacher, counselor, whatever it was, anybody that impact your life, reach out to them, because them people are getting old and they not going to be here in a minute. So show some love and some support, man, for real. Help them out. If you could go buy some groceries for them, or take
That's
them
what
to the
I was
store,
just
go pick
saying.
up something they may need, or water their grass, water their flowers, do something special for them, for real, for real. And that's all I wanted to let you guys know.
Yeah. I think that that's what I was just saying. Like, with your family members, you got to check on them, because they getting old. Like Krisha said, you want to check on them. They not gonna be here forever. Them the matriarchs and the patriarchs of the family. Like she said, that's who you go to for your wisdom, your guidance. I always tell my kids this: how you gonna know more than me and I've been here longer? It's the same for us. How we don't know as much as the older people do because they've been living a lot longer. They've had more experiences. I
Too.
love
I
hanging around
love it.
older people. People. I'm an old soul. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a really great message. It tied perfectly into this episode. And I just want to remind you guys to make sure that you following us on all
Yes.
social media platforms. We on Facebook and Instagram under Life of a Single Mom with Brittney&Creasha. You can find us on X, formerly Twitter, and on TikTok under the acronym of Life of a Single Mom, which is LOASM 2024. That's on X and TikTok. Every Monday, you guys can find new episodes on Spotify and YouTube. If you want to listen while you're in the tub or in the car, going to sleep, that's where you can listen on Spotify. If you're more of a visual person and you want to see the episodes, you can go to YouTube, and we also upload our morning inspiration videos, clips that we're doing. We're also going to start doing more in the life videos, like of us cleaning our house. So you get, because I know we get on here and y'all see us, we look decent or whatnot. But it's days where our hair not cold, house is dirty, clothes everywhere. So we just want to be more transparent and start showing you guys what our life really look like, so you understand that life
For
of a
real.
single mom shit is real life. As always, you guys, be sure to email us at loasm2024 at gmail, loasm2025 at gmail. We want to hear from you
Yes.
guys. We want your stories, any advice, comments, concerns. Hit us up, you guys. And as always, you know what to do. Do your best to be less stressed and more blessed as you deal with the trials
Bye,
and tribulations
everybody.
of life of a single parent. Bye.